Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Catholic Sanity. In this channel that we talk about Catholic psychology, how to integrate psychology in Catholicism and not the opposite way around, integrating Catholicism in psychology. So in this video will be really interesting because it will be the first video of a mini course that I want to give for free to you guys, just to help you guys in YouTube. And also the other function of this video is that it will kill some simple questions. My aim in this mini course, I don't know how many classes we'll have yet, but probably 4 or 5. My aim in this mini course is to give the fundamentals of life. You get what I mean? Some fundamental stuff to give you principles in order for you to guide yourself in our modern chaotic society. Why I say modern chaotic society? So there are at least 4 points that I separated here, 4 points that I separated. And the problem is that why chaotic? The first point is that we have an institutional crisis, and a quite serious institutional crisis. Sometimes we even go to church, and when we talk with the priest and etc., they don't speak something that is quite Catholic. Who never experienced that? You get what I mean? Not judging, not saying that I'm better than anyone, etc. But you have the doctrine, you have the tradition, you have things that, they are the way that they are negotiable. But we do have this problem, not just in the Catholic Church. Outside the world, we have this problem too, not just with our beloved Catholic Church. We have, if you ask a teacher what is education, the teacher cannot define you what is education. If you ask a psychologist what is a human being, they cannot define too. If you ask a lawyer what is justice, they can define too. And that's the problem. Every single person are doing their professions, but they don't know what they are dealing with. The main core of their profession, they don't really know. And they are just repeating and repeating and repeating stuff. Actually, in the end of the day, they are just acting that they are doing. Most of the people. And I'm not saying that people are bad intention, but the thing is, if you don't go deep enough in knowledge, there will be situations that you don't know how to handle, and you will just do by feeling, and it's okay, and etc. Okay? And we have an institutional crisis. And what the institutional crisis create this feeling that we cannot trust in our institutions. Create this feeling that every single time that we go through an institution, we need to think like, this guy is really trying to help me, or he's just trying to be here to do his job and get his income. Many people are afraid to lose their jobs because of this reason. Many people are afraid of that because of this reason, because they just go there to do their job, and etc. So the thing is, we have this institutional crisis that the institutions of 500 years ago, the classical example is university. These institutions of 500 years ago that were so meaningful, that were like, universities were the place that you could find truth, man. Nowadays, they are political weapons. You can't debate anymore. You get what I mean? In most of the time. Otherwise, it would influence your marks. Oh my lord. You get what I mean? So, these institutions, although they have the same name, but they don't have the same value of before. And we live in this complicated situation that if we want to find help, we cannot say like, I will just go to university because I want to be educated. Not every single time this will happen, my friend. I want to go to the hospital to solve my problem. I go to the doctor. No, unfortunately, our doctors also sometimes, I will find a lawyer because he knows, about some situation here. A law situation I have in my marriage. I want to see whether I'm fair enough. They don't know what is justice. Sometimes we go to find priests and, they give bad counseling and etc. And I'm not putting myself above priests at all. I'm just describing a problem. It's evident. You get what I mean? I'm talking about evident things. But if we don't map out the problems, ignoring problems has consequences. You get what I mean? You feel unnecessary pain. If you know the problem, you can avoid it or deal with it in a different way. And that's what I'm proposing here. So we live in this institutional crisis, an institutional crisis that is quite, make us feel sometimes lonely, lost, and don't know where to seek this help you know. And the second thing is that because the second point of our chaotic society is moral relativism. Because of moral relativism, we don't have a clear script on our society. When I say clear script, I mean, we might have the old script of going to university and then after finding a job. You know, you have this one. You go through school and then high school and then university and then you need to find a job. And yeah. You have the script that the businessmen they're full of videos criticizing this script, this old script. But people started already to not trust on that. And when I say script, I say in the deep way. You know what I mean? The deep way. Like our society give us a bunch of visions of life, a bunch of different values. It's not a homogeneous society. It is a society that you can have someone that is so extreme and totally different from the other person. You know? These two persons, if they were living in different countries, you wouldn't even tell that they were from the same countries. You get what I mean? And this was really, really rare before. And when I say before, I'm saying in the classical societies. This is allowed because of internet and also because of relativism. I'm not demonizing internet. It's a powerful tool. I'm using the internet. You get what I mean? But I'm saying that because of moral relativism, we have a bunch, thousands and thousands and thousands of different scripts. And then you can tell me like, oh, I'm Catholic. No, I chose my script already. I chose the philosophy that will guide my life. I chose the way that I want to live and etc. I already chose it. I don't need to worry about it. Hey, I solved the problem. No, you did the first step. You see, the first step in entering in the place that I believe that truth is. You got what I mean? The first step. There's a lot to work on because your heart was influenced by this philosophy, this kind of philosophies, this kind of lifestyles, this kind of societal scripts. So the problem is that by head, you're here. I'm Catholic. No, I want to, I want to go to the mass every single day and etc. But by heart, my friend, by heart, you will need to work on your character. Because it's shaped by paganism, it's shaped by nihilism, it's shaped by atheism. So we have a long way to go in this Catholic path. Not just you, me too. We are all in the same boat. You know what I mean? We live in a secular society. So we all were influenced by feminism. We all were influenced by nihilism. We all were influenced by atheism, hedonism, and all this kind of stuff. And we need to work daily in our hearts with compassion, but daily in our hearts. And this confusion of scripts make your heart, even though you are in the Catholic Church, it makes it not being a Catholic heart. You know, what is a Catholic heart? The heart of a saint. You get what I mean? And all these things that you have that are not Catholic, you need to put them away, little by little, slowly, and with compassion, and being really patient with yourself. The third point is connected with hedonism that I just talked about, is that at the same time that the script is not clear, like we have different life philosophies and etc., we also have companies trying to buy our souls and kill our life meaning by giving you cheap pleasure. So literally, these companies, Facebook, Instagram, and etc., they are created and they study how to keep you there. If you're a content creator, you will notice that the algorithm is based on making people stay there. You got what I mean? And not just that, our food is always to give us a huge amount of pleasure. You know what I mean? Things like an amount of pleasure that people from before wouldn't even imagine it. You know what I mean? A king eating his meal wouldn't imagine the pleasure, not just the pleasure, but how many calories a McDonald's have in a simple burger. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like, we really we really have these companies and all these marketing strategies that are all focused on just one simple thing: to get your attention, to get your time, and if they can, your money too. But the most important thing is your time. Because look, time doesn't go away though. Time doesn't come back. That's what I mean. Time doesn't come back. And the thing is, like, you're donating, like life coaches will say, you're donating to them your most important profit. And that's, you're killing your existence. You got what I mean? You're letting your life go through your fingers like water, you know, and etc. And you know that you're called by something greater. And this is another trap that our modern society has. You got what I mean? And this will be the third point, right? These cheap pleasures that our society gives, these traps, right? And the fourth one, and the most critical one, out of all of this combined together and other stuff, because I don't want to make the video too long, we have the mental health crisis. So we don't have a clarity in our life philosophies. I'm not saying that every single human needs to be the same. I'm talking about the principles of life. You get what I mean? The principles, the principles of how to say a normal life are the same, but you have unique people. You know, principles and rules are different. Okay, principles are flexible, rules are, you know, hard and etc. But the thing is, like, we have this mental health crisis that even though you have depression, you cannot find a good psychologist. You don't know whether you will be helped or not. And even though you have anxiety, maybe you find a good psychologist that he teaches you how to deal with your anxiety, because there are also really professional secular psychologists. I'm not saying that they are not a professional, but what I'm saying is, like, after you're healed, you have a problem now, because a psychologist, he influences the view that you have about your life. He would influence your values, wanting or not. You got what I mean? Wanting or not. And if he doesn't influence you, what he's preaching to you is that morals or values are relative. You have your truth and I have my truth. You can live life the way that you want to live. Everyone can live, but what he's preaching is that there will not have any consequence. You get what I mean? And the problem of that is that if you have a secular psychologist and he's straightening you, maybe he will solve your problem, but now you have a second problem and a deeper problem that not everyone can solve this, because now you have a philosophical problem. How will you conciliate this psychology that has a philosophy behind it with Catholicism? Because you're Catholic. That's why many people abandon the church. It's not because the psychologist just told them, abandon the church and you will be better. No, they gave them results and they couldn't find results in the church. You got what I mean? So we have this mental health crisis. Every single person has a friend of a friend of a friend that knows someone that has mental health issues. You got what I mean? And that's a huge problem in our modern society. That's the result of this hedonistic, nihilistic life. This life without any meaning. You got what I mean? And people just get with mental health issues, you know, emotional issues, because they don't know how to cope well with their emotions and etc. You know? The thing is, after all these problems, we Catholics are called to one thing, like I was saying. If you enter in the Catholic Church, the beginning of every single thing is telling you what is the point of human life. Why? Because we are in this world for a reason, isn't it? And we need to know this reason. And I believe most of you know it. We are in this world because we are called to become saints. You know, when I say be called to become saints, another way to put it, and another secular way to put it, we are called to be the best version of ourselves. We are called to be what they call the true self. And not just the true self elevated by grace. The true self, you know, the good in you, the good part in you, that every single time that you are, I don't know, you commit something wrong, that good part of you screams and tells you, Daniel, you did something wrong, man. Go there and confess, and etc. Daniel, you did this. Man, stand up. You need to stand up and fight. You know, I like really a quote of St. John Paul II. He said that a saint is a sinner that didn't give up. you know? And that's what we are calling church. To take this huge decision, this huge journey, this beginning of the journey to become a saint. To become what is unique in us. To become the best part of us, elevated by grace. You got what I mean? That's being a saint. Overcoming sin. Overcoming what is not us. You got what I mean? Overcoming that. But what it really means to become a saint? Why every single human being are being called to become a saint? Does this mean that we are the same? No. Actually, being called to become a saint means, if I draw it in some way, if we here had a square or a rectangle or a circle, doesn't matter. Imagine that we have a circle here. This would be the general goal of humanity, to become a saint. And in this video, I will not have the time to explain what is a saint and etc. But saying in general words, it's becoming unique, it's becoming your true self. God created you for a purpose, you know? God created humans for a purpose. And if you go to the Catholicism of the Catholic Church, they will say three things, right? Like to love God, to worship Him, and to serve Him. That's the general meaning of humanity. This is this big circle. Why this big circle is important? Because these things are not clear, man. You saw people in the world, they don't have the kind of thing. They don't have a reason to become the best version of themselves. So if they are put in a spot, they will do whatever they can to save themselves up, you know. I'm not saying that we Catholics cannot fall, but falling is different than do evil willingly or doing it out of ignorance and etc. You got what I mean? The thing is, this general circle gives us a direction in life. Whatever being a saint means, I need to seek it from now, making this commitment now. And this is the general life meaning of humanity. You know, I'm simplifying the thing a lot just for pedagogical purpose, but this will be the general meaning, because the meaning of life for most of the people is not clear. And this is speaking about myself. It takes a huge amount of effort to find the meaning of life. So God, in His divine mercy, He gave us this direction. You got what I mean? This general direction of direction of human life meaning. Okay, but Daniel, so if everyone has this life meaning, it means that we are all equal, we all need to be saints. No, actually, if you saw the video carefully, it doesn't mean that. But if I need to draw it, it will be this huge circle here is the general life meaning of humanity. Inside of this circle, you have small circles. And these small circles are the individuals. So each one of us will apply becoming a saint, apply the grace in a different way, in the way that God called us. There's a mission in this world that just you can do it, my friend, because you're special. God called you. Sometimes maybe you don't know why you're special, but someone there in heaven, not just in heaven, here, loves you. You know what I mean? And He cares about you. He cares so much that He gave you this journey. He gave you this life meaning. You know, it's even interesting because some secular psychologists like Viktor Frankl, that some people will call him Jew, you could argue that he's Jew, but his philosophy is quite atheist. Some people like Viktor Frankl, he will say that you discover life meaning. You don't make your life meaning. And discovering and making your life meaning has a huge difference. Discovering your life meaning, it looks like your life meaning was given to you. You know, and our individual journeys is trying to find what it means to become saints in our lives. What God calls you to become a priest, or to marry, or to be single, or to become a missionary, you know? And even though you're a priest, what kind of priest? Which congregation? If you're married, what kind of marriage? You know? If you're a missionary, what kind of missionary? You know? And that's the uniqueness that God doesn't want to take out from us. You know, so this is the analogy of the big circle and the small circles that are us. You got what I mean? And what is sin? Sin is going outside of the big circle. You got what I mean? So it's making us less and less and less individual, you know, making us more and more and more like someone that is confused and etc. You know? So the thing is, the big question here, after all of this, is that are you willing to take it? Are you willing to take this invitation? This first invitation for the journey. This first invitation, this first basic invitation for the journey. What is this invitation about? The invitation of becoming a saint. The invitation of being unique. The invitation of living a life full of meaning. And maybe, just maybe, if we work hard enough and cooperate well with grace, because God is always giving His grace to us, cooperating well enough with grace, we experience heaven in this earth. And we can experience true happiness, you know, not a happiness that vanishes in the next moment, but a really fulfilling happiness. Not a happiness that's just for a cheap life, meaning like seeking money and etc. Not just a happiness of just helping someone, but the happiness of contemplating God. The happiness that fulfills the human heart deeply. You got what I mean? This hole that we have inside us. This happiness that I'm talking about, my friend. Are you willing to take it? Are you willing to take this happiness? But in order, if you say yes to yourself, you know, maybe you're afraid and you don't know where to start. That's why I have a philosophical exercise that didn't came from me. It came from a person from my, a philosopher from my country. And this exercise became quite famous in my country too. His name is Olavo de Carvalho. I'm not that smart. This guy is really smart. You know what I mean? He was a beast, like we used to say. I don't know if in English is the same expression, but in Portuguese we say he was the beast. You know what I mean? In some sense, like mind-blowing. He gave this exercise, philosophical exercise, meditating about our death. Meditating about our death. You know what I mean? And it's a really important exercise. You know, because we all has, although we have this life meaning, it's hard to judge in our lives what is right and wrong. And this exercise is in order to give some light in our daily situations on what we should have, we should do. This exercise meant to be the light for your action in the now. So please spend some time writing this down, writing this exercise, and it shouldn't be writing too much. So let me explain what is the exercise. The exercise is about you talking about, as your friend, so it's not you, it's your friend, talking what you became after your death. So your friend is writing about you. So, oh, Daniel dos Santos was ta 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 and ta 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 ta. You know? Basically, write what is the highest thing that you can achieve. Write how is this unique saint. And what I'm saying, many people might criticize me because they will say that this is, you need to do the will of God and etc. And this is not something that you choose and etc. But the aim of this exercise is to first make you move, and the part of you that is talking in this exercise, and because it's an exercise of honesty, and honesty is a virtue, so something created by God, the aim of this exercise is to build this inner honesty, to make this inner good voice in you stronger. You got what I mean? So from time to time, you will get yourself like feeling the need to change this exercise and change and change and change, and you seek God's will and like, oh, is maybe you're seeking marriage and no, actually it's God wants me to become a priest and etc. You know, and etc. And this thing, you seek being a priest, and then you need to write it again, or maybe realize something. Oh, I was seeking to become rich. You know, I was telling that I was wanting to help people, but I just want to become rich actually. And I mean, that's quite immature because money is a mean, you know, it's not an end in itself. So yeah, maybe I should aim at something higher, you know, and etc. And little by little, in this sense, you will start to grow. And why is so important the person from a friend of yours describing it. It is important because it means that it's externally visible. You know, it makes it externally visible. And with time, this life meaning, this thing that you wrote, like imagine I want to become a professor of university, blah, 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 blah. Or some people, when you start to, you know, sophisticating a little bit, you start to see that the things that last are things on personality. You know, I want to be an honest person that's quite charitable and etc. Like imagine that you put this. So I want to be an honest person that is quite charitable. I will help every single person that comes to me and etc. So every single time that you are in your day, this thing will judge your actions. This thing will give you light, you know, in your life. Do you get what I mean? So the exercise is writing about yourself after you die from the perspective of a friend of yours, you know, of who was you, who was Daniel, and etc. And you will see that this exercise will help you to be grounded in reality, you know, and start to see the problems, the real problems that you're having on the now, you know. And through these exercise, like someone that is planning to construct a house, you can have all the materials, but if you don't have the project, the final project of the house, you don't know first if these materials are useful or not, if I should change them or not, or if they are useful, I can use them, or maybe I don't have this one, but I can replace with this one. I can work with what I have. You know what I mean? And integrating your circumstances in your personality. So if you like the video and if you have any question, please leave in the comments below. And you can also DM me my Instagram if you have any question. We can talk about it further. You know, please leave the like on this video so more people can get helped. If you really like the video, don't forget about that, please. And please leave Catholic sanity. Leave Catholicism, you know, and basically saying living Catholicism is living truth, and living truth means living in yourself, your true self. Thank you guys.